Hi everybody, it's Fatih Arslan again and welcome to my 7th interpersonal communication tutorial video. In this video, we will see chapter 7, which includes verbal intercultural communication. Let's start. Definition of verbal codes. Neuroscience of human beings usually center on people's capabilities to manipulate and understand symbols that allow interaction with others. Language allows a person to talk with others, to understand or disagree with them, to make plans, to remember the past, to imagine future events, objects and experiences that exist in some other location. Rule systems in verbal codes. Phonology. When you listen to someone who speaks a language other than your own, you will often hear different sounds. The basic sound units of language are called phonemes, and the rules for combining phonemes constitute the phonology of a language. Morphology. Phonemes combine to form morphemes, which are the smallest unit of meaning in a language. Semantics. Morphemes, either singly or in combination, are used to form words. Meaning of words is called semantics. Source of information about semantics of a language is dictionary. They are really important definitions. You should carefully listen and you should carefully read when you practice, because you will need these definitions. Okay. Syntactics. For example, children are first learning how to combine words into phrases. They are being introduced to the syntax of their language. Language stipulates the correct way to arrange words. Set of rules that govern the sequence of the words. To learn another language, you must learn those rules. Pragmatics. The effect of language on human perceptions and behaviors. Pragmatics focus on how language is actually used. A pragmatic analysis of language goes beyond phonology, morphology, semantics, and syntactics. Interpretation and intercultural communication. Now, first, the role of interpretation in today's world. Issues surrounding the interpretation of verbal codes from one language to another become more and more important for all of us. Issues in interpretation very important. People involved in intercultural transactions most often depend on the services of multilingual individuals who can help to bridge the intercultural communication. Types of equivalence. Vocabulary equivalence. To establish vocabulary equivalence, the interpreter seeks a word in the target language that has the same meaning in the source language. Idiomatic equivalence. An idiom is an expression that has a meaning contrary to the usual meanings of the words. Idioms are so much a part of language that people are rarely aware of using them. Grammatical syntactical equivalence. Some languages make grammatical distinctions that others do not. Experiential equivalence. Differing life experiences are another hurdle the interpreter must overcome. The words presented must have some meanings. Sorry for interrupt. Let's continue. The words presented must have some meaning within the experiential framework of the person to whom the message is directed. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis of linguistic relativity. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is not intended to provide a process rendering or articulated by Sapir and Whorf, which is virtually impossible to do. Sapir and Whorf's major contribution to the study of intercultural communication is that they called attention to the integral relationship among thought, culture, and language. Variations in vocabulary. Variation in vocabulary concerns the terms a language uses to identify and define colors in the spectrum. For example, the Camara Indians of Brazil have a single word that refers to the colors that English speakers would call blue and green. Variation in linguistic grammars. A rich illustration of the reciprocal relationship among language, thought, and culture can be found in the grammatical rules of different languages. Language shapes how its users organize the world. The patterns of a culture will be reflected in its language and vice versa. Linguistic relativity and intercultural communication. The semantic and syntactic features of language are powerful shapers of the way people experience the physical and social world. Sapir and Worf's assertions that language determines our reality have proved to be false. Language, ethnic group identity, and dominance. The importance that cultures attribute to language has been re-established. In fact, some would argue that the very heart of a culture is its language and that a culture dies if its language dies. A language will remain vital and strong if groups of people who live near one another use the language regularly. Language and intercultural communication. Let's continue. It's alternative versions of language. No language is spoken precisely the same way by all who use it. Terms often associated with these alternative forms of the language include dialect, accent, argot, and jargon. Dialects. Dialects are versions of a language with distinctive vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation that are spoken by particular groups of people or within particular regions. Dialects can play an important role in intercultural communication because they often trigger a judgment and evaluation of the speaker. Now, accents. Distinguishable marks or pronunciation are called accents. Accents are closely related to dialects. Research studies repeatedly demonstrate that speakers' accents are used as a cue for impressions of them. Jargon and argot. Specialized forms of vocabulary. Jargon refers to a set of words or terms that are shared by those with common profession or experience. Argot refers to specialized language that is used by a large group within a culture to define the boundaries of the group from others who are in a more powerful position in society. And finally, verbal codes and intercultural competence. The link between knowledge of other verbal codes and intercultural competence is obvious. Impossible for anyone to be proficient in all of the verbal codes that might be encountered in intercultural communication. Improve competence in adjusting to differences in verbal codes when communicating interculturally. Now we finished our tutorial video. I hope you understood it. If you don't, you can send us emails with your questions and we will try to back to you. And thanks again for watching us and listening us. I hope we will see each other on the next tutorial. Keep smiling and see you later. Bye bye.